Yo, Jacob got lunch detention. Lucky. They called it lunch detention. It sounded terrifying. No talking, no food, no freedom, just an empty room and shame. But then this one kid gets sent there, and he comes back looking way too happy. Everyone's like, yo, are you good? Bro, that was actually fire. Turns out, lunch detention wasn't even detention. There were snacks, there was music, there was a frickin' couch. So the teacher that was running it was super chill. People would be playing Uno in the corner. Nobody wanted to leave. So here's what happened. A while back, the principal asked this one teacher to run lunch detention. He did. Nobody ever questioned it, and the principal never checked in. He never stopped by. And like I said, that teacher, super chill. He just made it his own thing, this chill spot for students to hang out during lunch. So while the rest of the school thought it was punishment, kids were in there vibing, like it was some exclusive lunch lounge. And it lasted months before people started getting suspicious. They shut it down eventually, but to this day, it's still kind of a legend. They called it lunch detention, but it was basically club detention, right? Is that Miss Carter's voice? Oh my god, her mic is still on. One time, this teacher left the room to take a quick phone call, but she forgot that her microphone was on, and the entire class heard everything. So this teacher had one of those little mics that would clip to your shirt and connect to some speakers in the classroom because her voice was naturally very quiet. She gets a phone call, so she steps out into the hallway. She shuts the door behind her, and then suddenly, no, because I'm not doing this again, Brian. It blasts through the classroom like an announcement. Everyone just goes dead silent. You said you were gonna handle the wedding invites, and now I'm the bad guy? She was pacing the hallway, full on arguing with this Brian guy, but the room could hear every single word through the speakers. I don't care if your mom doesn't like it, she's not the one getting married, Brian. Someone in the back whispered, Brian is so done for, man. The teacher then walks back in, and the class is just sitting there silently staring at the speakers. Did you guys hear all that? Yeah. Oh, man. She turned bright red, turned off her mic, and went back to teaching like nothing happened. And here's the part that I'm sure some of you are wondering. The engagement was called off a couple months later. I bet I can do more push-ups than any student in this assembly. Oh yeah? So this one principal was mad cocky, always walking around like he was the final boss of the school or something. Well, one time during an assembly, he was giving a full speech about discipline and mental toughness or whatever. And in the middle of it, he goes, I bet I can do more push-ups than any student in this assembly. Everybody laughed. They thought he was joking. But then this one kid stands up and says, all right, bet. The whole gym goes quiet. The kid starts walking to the front like it's about to be a championship match. And the principal, he doesn't back down. They clear a space in the middle of the gym floor. The principal takes off his jacket and rolls up his sleeves. The kid just drops into position. No warm-up, just locked in. Someone starts counting down. 3, 2, 1, go! And boom, they start. Everyone's cheering, cameras are out. They hit 20, 30, 35 push-ups. The principal's arms start shaking, his face is red, he's sweating. And the kid, well, he's staring him down mid-push-up. Like he wants this man to quit. 40, 45, 50 push-ups, and boom. Principal falls face first into the gym floor. Just collapses. He's done. The gym goes dead silent once again. And the kid, well, he stands up. He raises one fist in the air. People are screaming and jumping, and this kid is feeling good. They ended the assembly early that day, but for the rest of the year, that kid walked around the hallways like a legend. You're a legend, bro. There he is. Push-up guy. Hi, Steven. What did the principal think was gonna happen? That's crazy. I've been teaching 7th grade for 12 years. You know, I've seen a lot. I've broken up fights, I've handled lockdowns, but nothing prepared me for the yogurt incident. It was a Thursday. It was quiet, and the students were working on some packet. And then out of nowhere, splat. Go-gurt all over the ceiling like some dairy-based grenade. And the worst part is, nobody claimed it. No one looked up, nobody laughed, they sat there. Like they planned it. It was driving me crazy. I filed an incident report. I even brought the janitor in to look at it so I could use him as a witness. He said, and I quote, "That's not the first yogurt I scraped off the ceiling. this day, nobody knows who did it. But every time I see yogurt or smell yogurt, God forbid I taste yogurt, my stomach drops. That's his search history? Yup. Oh my. This teacher left his smartboard on when he went to the bathroom and he completely exposed himself. Not like that, chill. But his laptop was still connected, still unlocked, and the screen was just sitting there. At first, nobody cared, but then somebody looked up and noticed something. There was a tab open next to the one that he had up, and it had his full name on it. Yo, wait, did he Google himself? Oh my God, he did. So they clicked it, and yes, he had Googled himself. Full name typed into Google. And there were other tabs open too, of like photos. And one of the photos was from some old college article. And the photo was zoomed in on his face, like he was looking for a version of himself that he used to be. They started checking other tabs. One said, how to become a principal. Another said, can teachers date each other? And the last one just said, meme template. Kids were laughing, they were taking pictures, but then the door opened. He saw the board, saw what was open on his computer, and he just stood there. He closed the laptop, looked around the room, and said, do y'all ever have those days where you just don't even recognize yourself anymore? He then just sat back down at his desk, and nobody said a word after that. They said it was actually a pretty sad moment. Poor guy. It's frozen. Run! So this one school had a tradition. In 8th grade, during the last week of school, there was a day called Water Balloon Day. It was unofficial, unsanctioned. Everyone knew it happens right after lunch in the courtyard. What started as a couple kids tossing water balloons around turned into a full-blown event. And every year it got a little bigger. But this one class took it way too far. They planned for weeks, mapped out the courtyard, found the nooks and the crannies. They assigned roles, runners, refillers, and spotters. Kids were wearing goggles and rain ponchos like they were going to war. And the wild part was these weren't just simple water balloons. People were freezing them the night before. Others were filling water balloons with Kool-Aid to give them themed and color ammo. By the time lunch ended, it was full-blown chaos. Teachers tried to shut it down, but they were getting hit too. Hey, stop! That's when the principal stormed out with the megaphone. Everyone drop the balloons now! Students were drenched. They were running to avoid getting in trouble. The next day, an announcement was made. Attention students, all balloon activity from here on out is permanently banned. Any students participating in any future water balloon fights or things of the such will be expelled. But for that 8th grade class, especially those who avoided getting in trouble, they said it was a day that they'll never forget. And it is a legend around that school. That's epic. Yo, there's pizza in the hallway, guys. Best day ever. At this one school, there was this one kid that we'll call Logan who didn't say much all year. He was pretty quiet. Good grades, chill energy, he never got into trouble. But on the last day of school, something inside him switched. He walks in, he nods to the front office lady, and he says, last day of school, and I got big plans for it. Now, nobody thought anything of it until about 10 minutes later. An intercom announcement comes on, but it's not from the principal. It's Logan's voice. Good morning, students and staff. May I have your attention, please? And everyone's listening very intently because he sounds pretty official. Then he says this. Due to a clerical error, several classrooms have been issued complimentary pizza. During your third period class, please check the hallways. People laugh. They think it's a prank. But then third period rolls around and one kid decided to check the hallway about halfway through. And there's a pizza box. And another. And another. Every hallway there were full pizza boxes, still hot. Teachers are opening doors like, what is going on? Oh, that is so much pizza. But as you can imagine, kids are now losing their minds. Someone grabbed 2 boxes and ran to the bathroom. Where I assumed he sat there and ate them. These kids said it was a complete blast. Yes, it was chaotic and people were getting in trouble, but memories, right? Well, this is what happened. Turns out Logan saved up all year. Lunch money, birthday cash, he put it all into this. He ordered 50 pizzas to all arrive at the same time to the school. He had convinced the school secretary to help him with this because he's told her, come on miss, the last day should feel like the last day. Okay. She let him use the intercom, she helped him bring the pizzas in. At the end of the day, the students were trying to find Logan to thank him. But he had skipped out early. He was already home. Chilling in his room, playing Xbox. An absolute legend. He did all of this just to make people's last day of school feel memorable. respect. The performance is over, you may all go home. I'm a star! So every year, this school put on a big spring play. Tickets, costumes, a full audience. It was a big deal. And this one year, they were doing Robin Hood. Now, most of the cast was taking this very seriously. But there was this one kid. Let's call him Noah. He played one of the guards. He barely had any lines. And that was the problem. Because Noah wanted more stage time, and nobody gave it to him. So, on opening night, he decided to take it. Everything's going fine. The actors are on point. The audience is locked in. Robin Hood's doing his big dramatic speech. I do not steal for greed, I steal for justice. While the kings eat in their golden halls, the people will scrape crumbs off the floor. So yeah, that kid was killing it. He was feeling himself. But then Noah walks forward, points to Robin Hood, and says with a completely straight face, he's got a crossbow in his pants. That's why he's walking like that. The actors freeze. The kid who played Robin Hood looks like he's about to cry. But Noah's not done. No. He starts pacing across the stage like a detective, muttering to himself, the moss is fake. The footprints don't match the alibi. This was never about taxes. Everybody's flabbergasted. He's inventing a crime subplot in the middle of a play. And then the finale. Knocks over a set piece, points up to the sky and says, it was the butler! And he starts running around the stage. The lights cut. The cast members are crying. The principal gets onto the mic and says, the performance is over, you may all go home now. I'm a star. And that was it. The show got canceled mid-performance. No second night, no cast party. It was done. And Noah, well, he showed up to school the next day like nothing happened. But people said you can tell. He was very, very proud of what he did. So this one teacher, Mr. Thompson, was way too chill. He never gave homework, he never graded anything, he didn't even pretend to be strict. One time a kid asked him a question and he literally pulled up Google and was like, you know man, I don't know, let's figure this out together. Bro is one of us. But one day, someone asked him how long he had been teaching. Oh, I just kind of got into this. You know, and people laughed. But it was like, wait, what? Then a week later, Mr. Thompson, gone. No email, no goodbye. Just a new teacher walks in and goes, hey guys, I'll be finishing off the year. Mr. Thompson had to leave for personal reasons. But one of the office aides, who was a student, overheard a call between the principal and the school district. Apparently, Mr. Thompson was never a teacher. He was a long-term sub who never got certified. He wasn't supposed to be teaching alone. So when the district found out, they pulled him immediately. And here's the worst part. His replacement was absolutely horrible. Strict, boring, cold. The kind of teacher who acted like they hated kids. And even though Mr. Thompson wasn't technically a real teacher, he made way more of a real impact than half the ones who are. Man, that sucks. Hey, got the goods? You know it. What no? What is that? Oh, shit. So there was this one kid, let's call him Jordan. And Jordan was built for business. He wasn't even in it for the money. He just wanted to run something. So in 7th grade, he started selling snacks out of his backpack. Takis, Gushers, Hot Cheetos, all the good stuff. And his prices, they were cheaper than the vending machine. No line, no tax, no frickin' problems. This guy had regulars, he had punch cards, he even had combo deals. Business was absolutely booming. But then one day a teacher caught him mid-deal and they were shut down. Hey you! I'm shutting you down. School took his snacks, they called his parents, the whole operation gone. Done for. So Jordan disappeared for a little while. People thought it was over. But 2 weeks later, he comes back with a new system. Now, he's walking around with a backpack full of old books, asking people quietly, hey, need something to read? And inside the books were snacks. He had hollowed out the middle of these books, lined it with plastic, and stuffed them full of candy and chips. These books were titled things like Understanding Algebra or A History of Our State. Books nobody actually wanted. And teachers thought he was just pushing literacy. He would always say, I'm just promoting reading. But then, one day, one slipped. Mid-class, he slides a book across a desk to another kid. Got you. But it falls off and lands with a thud. No! Well, when it hit the ground, a bag of Hot Cheetos fell out of this book. The kid tries to grab it and stuff it back inside the book, but the teacher saw everything. What was that? Wait, let me see that book right now. She picks it up, opens it, and it's completely hollowed out. Crumbs, lining, snack stash exposed. That day, they checked Jordan's locker. He had a full snack library. Categorized, alphabetized, every single book was loaded. And they shut him down again, for real this time. But to this day, people still talk about this kid, because Jordan wasn't just selling snacks. He built a system, and for a while, it worked.
You didn't even look at the slides?
Nope. Bro, we're gonna fail! So there was this one group project in 8th grade that counted for 25% of the final grade. Like it was a serious end-of-the-year multi-slide, multi-day situation here. And this one group had 3 kids that really cared. And then there was Jeff. Jeff did nothing. Didn't come to the prep meetings, didn't contribute to the slides, didn't even open the Google Doc. All he said was, just tell me what I need to say. And they tried. They gave him a script. He didn't look at it. He didn't practice. Didn't even show up to the final rehearsal that they were doing. Fast forward to presentation day. Everyone's in their best outfits. Posters were ready. The slides were cued. And 30 seconds before their group is called, Jeff walks into class like he had just woken up.
Hey, what's up, guys?
The group is panicking. One kid tells him, are you kidding me right now, dude? You know what? Just stand there, okay? Don't say anything. Don't mess this up for us. They get up front, everyone is nervous, and then out of nowhere, Jeff starts talking. No slides, no notes, just straight off the dome. Our project explores the intersection of environmental policy and youth activism, and we believe change happens locally. The teacher's face lit up, the group, they were stunned. And by the time Jeff was done, people were clapping. They clapped. They got an A+, perfect score. And as soon as they sit back down, Jeff leans over and says, I told you I'd come through. After that, nobody trusted Jeff, but everybody remembered that presentation. And even the teacher brought it up the next year. But it's crazy because with 0 prep, 0 effort, and 0 teamwork, Jeff gave the best speech in the class, and nobody could explain it.
The pepperoni pizza's been eaten. How is that possible?
It started with pizza. On pizza days, this cafeteria made only like 30 slices of pepperoni pizza. And when it was gone, it was gone. No backup, no mercy. And there was this one kid, let's call him Darren. He lived for that pizza. Yo, I live for that pizza. He would sprint to lunch every single pizza day just to make sure he gets it.
Oh, yes.
But one pizza day, he got to lunch a little late. And when he got to the front of the line,
it's gone?
Oh, man. Just cheese left. He was mad, but he held it in. The next pizza day, he left for lunch even earlier. He was jogging to the cafeteria, practically. I'm gonna get it this time. And again, gone. 2 pizza days in a row, gone before he even got there. On the next pizza day, just as the lunch bell was ringing, the fire alarm went off. The whole school evacuated. They were pretty sure it was a standard fire drill. It took about 30 minutes to clear. All right, single file line, everybody out of the school. Just a drill, come on. Now, like I said, this happened right before lunch even started. But when they came back in, the lunch ladies noticed that somebody ate the pepperoni pizza. How was that possible? The pepperoni tray was supposed to be sealed. The full pan, it was half gone. Well, they were obviously super curious as to where this pizza went, so they checked the cameras. Darren, in the cafeteria alone, helping himself to a tray of pepperoni while the entire school was outside. The footage had a timestamp, 12:02. That's 2 minutes after the fire alarm went off. He was suspended on the spot, and there were rumors about legal charges. But nobody knows what really happened because the kid actually never came back to that school. All we know is Darren got his pizza. But at what cost? Mister, I need a pencil. Well, then you know what to do. There was this one English teacher at this one school that had a full-blown ritual just for handing out pencils. But it wasn't funny, it wasn't goofy, it was actually kind of unsettling. He called it
the ceremony.
And it happened every single time somebody asked for a pencil. You couldn't just say, "Can I borrow one?" You had to raise your hand and say, "I seek the tool of wisdom." And if you said it wrong, he would just stare at you, dead silent, until you said it right. Then he would unlock a little drawer, which he called the vault. He'd slowly remove one pencil and hold it up in the air, like it was sacred. Sometimes he would even close his eyes. Yes. And before he would hand it over, he would look at the entire class and go, "Together now, use it well, write with honor." He said this binded the exchange. And if somebody in the class didn't say it with everybody, he would just hold onto the pencil and wait. And here's the part that really unsettled people. If you disrespected the ceremony, like if you laughed or whispered or rolled your eyes, he would mark your name down in a little red notebook. Didn't say anything, he just wrote your name down. And people swore. Every time he did that, there was a pop quiz the next day. Got to the point where people stopped forgetting to bring their pencils to class. Not because they were just more prepared, but because they were terrified to ask the teacher for one. When this dude was a kid, he was spending the night at his friend's house. It was a super hot day and they had just come back in from playing outside. And these dudes were scoundrels. They were playing with mud and dirt, sand, they were sweaty. So before dinner, this kid wanted to take a shower. So he figured that wouldn't be an issue. He grabs a towel, he walks to the bathroom, and as he's about to close the door, his friend's mom says, "Hey, no showers before dinner." This kid kind of laughs because obviously she's joking, right? I mean it. He paused. He was like, why? "'Cause it confuses your stomach." Confuses your stomach? What the heck is she talking about? He stood there, still sweaty, covered in dirt, mud, sand, towel in his hand, with his friend's whole family nodding to him like this is some normal situation. So he sat at the table, feeling completely nasty and trying to eat a slab of lasagna that he said was super mid. And when he was finally done, he stood up to go use the shower. "That was great. Thank you. I'm gonna go shower." And that's when his friend's mom said this: "No, wait at least an hour. Your body needs time to transition." "I think my body's fine. I'm just gonna wait at least an hour. Your body needs time to transition." At that moment, he just sat back down. He silently decided that he was never gonna come to this friend's house ever again. You're late. And you're a... There was this kid, let's call him Marcus, that was always like 30 seconds late to class. Every day. And his teacher, let's call her Miss Harris, she hated that. I hate that. So one day, Marcus walks in, super chill, backpack half unzipped, no rush at all. And yes, he was around 30 seconds late. Which in my opinion, 30 seconds late, come on, lady, chill. But anyway, Miss Harris goes, "You're late." Marcus, he didn't flinch. Didn't even sit down. He just stood there and went, "Don't you get tired of being dramatic?" The whole class goes, "Oh." But Marcus wasn't done. Every day with the attitude, like, "Chill, Broadway, you ain't on stage?" Then he hit her with this: "Over here acting like me in the door personally offended you, you goofy looking woman. You're built like a late bell, always ringing for no reason. Get out of my face." Kids were literally falling out of their chairs. One kid had to leave the room.
You gotta excuse me. I gotta take a walk.
And Miss Harris just sat there, frozen, like her spirit just left her. You would think she would have sent him to the principal's office, but I think she was so embarrassed by Marcus roasting her and the class all laughing at her expense, she just did nothing. After that, she never said a word to Marcus ever again. Because, yeah, she tried to embarrass him, but he ended her in 10 seconds. That's wild. There was a rumor that a kid at this school wasn't allowed to take tests. What? Quizzes, no exams, no finals, nothing. At first, everyone thought he was faking it, like, "Okay bro, test anxiety isn't a personality, get over it." But then the truth came out. This kid barely talked to anybody. No backpack, no pencil case, just showed up, sat down, and left. And every time there was a test, he was suddenly gone, like clockwork. People started making jokes like, "He's got a medical exemption from Scantrons," or "He's so smart, they don't need to test him." But then one day a teacher slipped up. She was handing back test scores and looked straight at him and said, "Oh right, you don't take these." And he just nodded like it was completely normal. Turns out his dad was one of the district lawyers. And a few years back, the school messed up his IEP so badly that his family sued. IEP stands for Individualized Education Program. Well, like I said, his family sued, and they won. And part of the settlement, he didn't have to take any standardized tests until graduation. So yeah, the rumor was real. He had a real legal pass to never take a test ever again. Today, we simulate chaos. There was this one day at this one middle school where the principal made a huge deal about this upcoming assembly. It was a full school event, mandatory attendance. And apparently, they'd be reviewing emergency protocols. So everybody thought it was gonna be a boring fire drill type situation, or one of those lockdown walkthroughs. But no, it was way, way different. When the students got into the gym, the lights were off. A fog machine was going and the janitor was standing there in firefighter gear, just waiting. That's when the principal grabbed the mic and said, "Today, we simulate chaos." And suddenly alarms started blaring. Kids were screaming. There were strobe lights going off.
What is going on?
One kid in a wheelchair started spinning himself in circles, screaming, "Every man for himself! Every man for himself!" Another kid was climbing the bleachers, people were running outside the school, and somebody's shoes ended up in the rafters, which to this day they have no idea how that even happened. Well, it turns out the entire thing was the principal's idea. He said the best way to prepare for an emergency was to be surprised by one, and he put this whole thing together. Apparently, he was really excited about it. It was so crazy and nobody knew what was happening that one teacher passed out, students were huddled together praying, and by the end of it, the janitor just stood on the stage saluting the students like they had just survived a real disaster. Nice! Good work, team! The next week, the school board banned all unauthorized drills. So yeah, they were supposed to learn what to do in an emergency. Instead, they learned what happens when a principal goes completely off script. It's kinda legendary though, I'm not gonna lie. He wrote all of that down in that notebook? Yeah. Holy sh! Everyone at the school knew about Eli. Not because he was loud or popular, it was just the opposite actually. You see, Eli was just off. He wore the same hoodie every single day, carried one of those tiny spiral notebooks in his back pocket, and he was always scribbling in it during class. Like it'd be mid-lecture, he would just pause, start writing in this thing, and then he would stop, snap it closed, and stare ahead like nothing happened. Now, people assumed it was a sketchbook or he was writing stories or something, but the rumors started flying pretty quick. Some kids thought it was a hit list. Others thought he was writing creepy fan fiction. It got to a point where a teacher actually pulled him aside to ask him about it. Eli just said, "It's nothing bad, I just like to keep track of things." And for a while that was enough, until someone found one of the notebooks. It fell out of his pocket during gym class. Oh my god. Yo, Steven, is that what I think it is? Yup. And yeah, it wasn't a hit list, but it was weird. He had pages dedicated to different people, not in a creepy way, more like stats. Stuff like, Jamie asks to borrow a pencil 3 times a week. Mr. Grant pretends he doesn't see phones on desks. Cafeteria, chicken sandwich rotation is every 6 days. It was like he was documenting the entire school. Patterns, routines, habits, everything. And the weirdest part, he was right. Everything he wrote down was dead on accurate. He had memorized the school's entire system and everybody in it. After that, people stopped making jokes. Because anytime somebody wanted to know something, like what day pizza was coming back, when Mr. Grant gave pop quizzes, what the fire drill schedule looked like, they didn't ask the office or the teachers. They asked Eli. So yeah, he wasn't a problem. He was a database. This dude had a super weird experience at a friend's house. This kid said he used to hang out at a friend's place after school. Nice house, quiet neighborhood, totally normal. But every time he walked in that house, the mom would always say the exact same thing. Shoes off, kids, and don't touch the walls. Now at first, this kid thought that this lady was just a clean freak. Until one day, when he leaned on a wall, barely. She came around the corner instantly, like she'd been watching. She didn't yell, she didn't get mad, she just handed him a paper towel and pointed at the spot. "Wipe it until it's gone, please." The weird part? There was nothing on the wall. No smudge, no print, no mark, but he just wiped it anyway. What is going on? Later that night, he asked his friend what that was all about. Yo, what was that all about? His friend just said, "She thinks that walls remember everything. Like if you touch a wall or lean on it, you leave a piece of yourself behind." Your mom's nuts. Whatever, he went home and he just tried to forget about that weird moment, but a week later, he heard that his friend's house had been repainted, the entire interior. When he asked his friend what the reason was, his friend replied, "My mom said too many people touched the walls, so she repainted it to give the house a fresh start." Bro, what? That mom might need a little help. Okay. This teacher straight up embarrassed herself. Back in 3rd grade, this teacher was doing a lesson on animals. So, can anybody name me a mammal? This one kid, we'll call him Mason, raised his hand excitedly. "Oh, a platypus!" The teacher kind of frowned. "No, sweetie, mammals don't lay eggs, and platypuses lay eggs. It's a bird." "You are wrong." Mason looked confused, but the platypus is a mammal. "Don't you argue with me, it's unbecoming." "I'm not arguing, Now you're being disrespectful." Mason just sat there quietly. But that night, he did some work of his own. The next day, Mason came into school with printouts, scientific articles, diagrams, highlighted textbook pages. This kid had evidence. He was ready to prove this teacher wrong. So in class, he walked right up to her desk, and in front of the entire class, he said, "Excuse me? Just so you know, the platypus is a mammal. Look, it lays eggs, but it still makes milk, and that's what makes it a mammal." I've been teaching for 15 years. I think, yeah, and you've been wrong for every single one of them. Boom. Class exploded. At this point, the teacher was fuming. Go to the office now. But when he explained what happened to the principal, even the principal was like, yeah, man, you're right. Platypus is a mammal. And he didn't get in trouble at all. After that day, Mason never got another question wrong on that class because she never called on him again. A subscriber's 5th grade story. So this one comes from a subscriber who said back in 5th grade, his homeroom teacher was just completely mean, always mad about something. Well, one day in class, his friend made a funny face at him, and he giggled. That's it. Just a giggle, no big deal, right? Well, when he got home that day, his parents were furious. They said that the teacher had emailed them, saying that he was laying on the ground laughing at the teacher, making fun of her, and mocking her, which never happened. He tried to explain, that's not what happened, I was just giggling at my friend. And his parents didn't believe him. And this didn't just happen once. It happened again and again and again. Each time the teacher would exaggerate a straight up lie in these emails home. Eventually his parents started to notice that something was off, and they brought it up to the principal, but the teacher didn't stop. One day she gave him 2 detentions back to back. And during one of those detentions, she walked into the room and said to his face, you know something, you should really stop doing sports because you're obviously never gonna make it anywhere. You should just focus on your schoolwork and maybe you won't end up in detention. Okay? Have a good one. Bro. Once his parents found out that she said that, they told the principal. Once the principal found out that she said that, she was done. She got fired. Good riddance. So a subscriber sent in this story. This one comes from an 8th grader in Missouri who had a teacher. We'll call this teacher Mrs. K. Now at the end of the school day, most teachers were fine with students having their phones out. Cause you know, it's the end of the day. It's chill time. But not Mrs. K. Mrs. K had this insane rule. If she caught you with your phone out, she would call your parents. She would then lie about why you had to stay after school, and then she would lock you in a closet. That's real. So one day, it's the end of the day, and this 8th grader gets a text from their mom. They check it really quick, and boom, Mrs. K sees it. Phone now. She snatches this kid's phone, and in front of the entire class, she calls this kid's parents. Hi, this is your kid's teacher. I'm calling to inform you that your child is failing my class. I highly suggest your kid stays after school today with me while I help them study for the upcoming test. Well, I'll have your kid call you when we're done. Bye-bye. So school ends and this kid heads to Mrs. K's classroom, hoping for the best, hoping Mrs. K is not going to be too hard on them. But that's not what happened. Mrs. K just said, since you were on your phone, you're getting in the closet. She locks this kid in the closet, and the kid's just sitting there scared, crying all by themselves. But here is where the whole thing turns around. When that kid got home, they told their parents what had happened. They called the school immediately. The next day, they went into the school to speak with the principal. And shortly after that, Mrs. K was fired. And honestly, she definitely deserved it. His friend's house had the weirdest rule ever. This dude said when he was younger, he was spending the weekend at one of his friend's house. They were in the kitchen getting snacks when his friend casually said, hey bro, don't eat the last chip. He grabbed the chip bag that his friend was talking about. He opened it and looked inside. There was literally 1 chip left in this bag. 1 chip. Why not? Because the last chip is for the house. What? He laughed. He thought he was joking and he popped that chip in his mouth. He ate it. Okay. A few moments later, the mom walked into the kitchen and saw that the last chip had been eaten from this chip bag. Who finished it? There was only 1 chip left. She just stared at him. That doesn't matter. The last chip is for the house. Always. He figured it was just a weird moment. Him and his friend went about their night. They were playing video games, just chilling. The next morning, this kid goes looking for some cereal in a cabinet, and that's when he saw it. Dozens of snack bags, all of them open, each with exactly 1 chip left. At this point, he was like, what is going on with his family? Bro, what is this? That's the house's cabinet, and those are the house's chips. Did you not listen to my mom yesterday? Bro, what? At that point, this kid was just hungry. He called his mom, and she came to pick him up. What is with these weird families, man? This kid got life advice from a guy eating string cheese. This kid was 14. He was having a rough week. He was failing a class, his friends were acting super weird. He had just gotten into a fight with his mom, who said, you know what, why don't you take a walk and don't come back till you figure yourself out. Oof. Tough break. So he left. He went to a park and sat on a bench. just sitting there, staring at a duck that looked as lost as he felt.
Quack, quack, quack.
Then this guy walks by, mid-30s, fishing hat on and a pole in hand, and he was eating string cheese. But he was eating it like a menace, not peeling it, just munching right into it. The guy slows down and goes, "Hey, you good?" This kid doesn't answer, he just shrugs. The guy nods like he gets it, and he says, "Cool. Just remember this. Most stuff doesn't make sense when you're in it, but it will later. So don't quit until it starts to make sense, alright?" This guy takes one last bite of his string cheese, throws the wrapper in the trash, and adds one last thing. Also, learn to cook one thing really well. That's important. That kid never saw that guy ever again. But he went home, and he made scrambled eggs. And honestly, they weren't that bad. Respect to that guy. This guy said that when he was around 7 years old, he would always wander off in stores. Target, Walmart, the mall, he'd see something he liked and he would just vanish. Well, one day, his dad was kind of sick of this, so he pulled him aside and said, "Hey son, you know what happens to kids who get lost in stores, right?" "What?" "Sometimes if their parents don't find them fast enough, the store keeps them." When this kid heard that, he was definitely starting to freak out a little bit. "What do you mean keeps them, Dad?" "If you're caught in a store looking lost, they'll snatch you up and bring you to the back room, where they'll make you fold clothes and pack boxes. See how the store's always stocked? Those are the lost kids that did that." "Are you serious?" After that, he never left his dad's side ever again. Not once. He didn't even go to the bathroom by himself until he was in middle school. He's much older now. He knows it was a lie. But even today, as he walks through stores, he still feels that pit of anxiety deep down in his stomach. But hey, at least he never got lost. This story's hilarious. When this girl was little, for some reason, she thought sneezing was hilarious. The scene in Beauty and the Beast where Belle's dad sneezes in his workshop and dust flies everywhere, she loved it. She would rewind it and watch it over and over again. Well, one day, when she was in kindergarten, she somehow found out that a student who was in first grade was very allergic to pollen. So she had an idea. Every day at recess, she would go outside, pick a handful of dandelions, and chase her around the playground. "Come here, come here." And when she would get close enough, she would shove the dandelions in this girl's face. Well, it got to a point where one day at recess, she was chasing her around with dandelions as usual. But this time, the reaction was more than a sneeze. She was sent to the hospital. And from that day on, whenever she wanted to watch someone sneeze, she would just go on YouTube. The hoodie heist service. So at this one middle school, there was this rule where you were not allowed to wear hoodies in class. If a teacher saw you wearing one, they would take it. No warning, no second chances, just, "Oh, no. You know the rule, hand it over." Now obviously, right when this rule was implemented, students were losing their hoodies left and right. And every hoodie that was taken got tossed into a random cabinet behind the teacher. No labels, no names, just a growing pile of hoodies. Some of them were actually expensive. Well, this kid, let's call him Carlos, noticed that no one ever got their hoodies back. Like ever. So he came up with an idea. He would get them back for a price. He started with his friend's hoodie. During lunch, while his friend's teacher was out of her classroom, he slipped in, opened the cabinet, and took the hoodie. Boom. Recovered. And word spread fast. People began paying him to get their hoodies back. And the pricing, well, that depended. If it was a basic hoodie and an easy teacher, it was like $5. If it was a brand name hoodie like Nike or like Supreme, that was like $15. But there was a teacher, let's call him Mr. Anderson, who had the cabinets locked. Now, if your hoodie was in that cabinet, you had to pay extra. $30 to recover that hoodie because, well, it's locked and that teacher never really left the room. And when Carlos did have to deal with Mr. Anderson's cabinet, he would have to use a special device he bought off Amazon to pick the lock. This dude was committed, okay? He was trying to get back everybody's hoodie. And yes, obviously the teachers were getting suspicious, but they still couldn't find out who was doing this because whenever he went on these missions, he had a hoodie on and he had glasses on. He was trying to be low-key. He even had a notebook where he kept track of which teacher had whose hoodie and how risky it would be to retrieve it. Business was booming. Now, for 1 full month was when things were moving. People were wanting their hoodies back because, like I said, the rule was new. And obviously, after a while, people just stopped wearing hoodies to class. But for that month, Carlos ran the most successful hoodie heist of all time. Until one day, this all caught up with him. He thought the teacher was out of the room. Turns out she was just in the corner of the room messing with some cabinets. She saw him doing what he did best, stealing hoodies. Busted. The business was shut down. But in that 1 month, he made over $600. And more importantly, he got so many kids their nice hoodies back. You gotta respect the hustle. Well, this principal had a secret. This person said that back in 8th grade, there was a principal named Mr. Reynolds. And Mr. Reynolds was way too intense. He had this whole no phones in school rule, but he took it to a weird level. If he even saw the outline of your phone in your pocket, he would stop you in the hallway. Give it to me. No, I'm not even using it. Doesn't matter, you know the rules. And the worst part, he'd keep it locked in his office until the end of the day. And if it was like the 3rd or 4th time he had to take your phone away from you, your parents would have to come in and get it. So absolutely just crazy. Well, this one girl, let's call her Ashley. She had had enough. He took her phone one day for checking the time during lunch. Give me that! I'm literally checking the time. You know the rules. So the next day, she told her older brother, who was already graduated but still had friends at the school. And he came up with a plan. Got you, sis. That weekend, Ashley's brother made a fake email address, pretending to be from the school's IT department. And he sent an email to the school board, saying there was suspicious activity coming from the principal's computer. Send. Take that, Mr. Reynolds. Now, he was just trying to make Mr. Reynolds' life a living hell. He didn't think anything of it, really. Just to mess with him real bad. But on Monday, an actual person from the school district showed up at that school. Turns out, Mr. Reynolds had a handful of students' phones backed up on his computer. He found out how to bypass passcodes, and some of them didn't even have passcodes, so he was just uploading stuff to his computer. Text messages, photos, everything. A complete invasion of privacy and super creepy. And he was fired on the spot. So Ashley's brother, trying to prank the principal, turned out to be something that actually needed to happen. This dude was messed up. No goodbyes, just walked out the building while the students watched. Get a life, loser! Screw you, Mr. Reynolds! You're a freaking creep! Bye! Ashley got her phone back, and the students got a principal that actually cared about them. One day in middle school, this kid was in math class, completely bored out of his mind. So instead of reviewing the packet he was given, he was doodling a picture in his notebook. He was sketching a cartoon of that teacher. Weird haircut, holding a ruler like it's a sword. I mean, it was kind of brutal, but it was funny. Well, suddenly the teacher walks by and she sees it. Is this supposed to be me? No. She snatches the paper, holds it up like it's evidence. Think this is funny? Office, now. He's like, yep, I'm done for. Detention for sure. He walks down to the principal's office, nervous. He gets in there and he hands the principal the picture that he drew of his teacher, expecting the worst. The principal stares at it, silent for a second. And then... he bursts out laughing. Okay. Alright, first of all, man, this is spot on. Kudos to you. Second of all, I've been telling her to fix her hair for 3 years. Really? Oh, yeah. Hey, pass me that red marker. Okay. He takes the red marker and draws flames behind her on the picture. Boom. Now it's art. I'm gonna keep this, alright? For me. Go to class, man. You're good. Oh. Alright. No detention, no punishment, just a really cool interaction with a super cool principal. That's awesome.
Montu! Hey, Montu! Hey, Montu! আমি তো অনাথ হয়ে গেছি একেবারে মনে করে আমার বাপে আমারে এটা কেমন ব্যাপার হ্যাঁ তোমার আব্বা না খুব কান্দানি আমারে কইছিল কাশি খাওয়া আমারে আরে বললা
সকাল সকাল তুমি আয়া পড়ছো চিল্লা কেমতে
কি হইছে হ্যাঁ আর থেকে আমনে পর দেখে দেখতেছি ফোনের পিছে লাগা রইছো
মুনবাজান তোরা আর একটা বুদ্ধি দিতাছি
কি হইছে বাবার কি
তুমি যদি একটা মাস পরে আইতা তাহলে দেখতা আমার আব্বা আনাম খাসিটা পাকে তোমার সামনে রেখা দিত
খানদান নাকি খানদান গো চিনা লাগে নাকি চোখ বন্ধ করে হারবার পাচ্ছি আয়া পড়ছি
দরকার আছে দরকার স্যার আমি কি ফোনে কথা কই নাকি এই এটা খায় কি করতাছো যাও না নিচে যাও কি হইছে বাজার
কি হইছে এই সব আমি পারুম না আমার দরকার হলে ঘর
আচ্ছা যা হবার হয়েছে বুঝছো
সারা দিন যে ধকলটা গেছে গা নিচে ঘুমা
আজ নামনের বাসুর ভাই আপনি
আপনার ঘরে
তুমি তো আমার পিলা চমকাই দিচ্ছ বাবা
কি যে কন্যা আব্বা, মাত্র তো আসমানের চাঁদ লাগো।
কিন্তু তুমি তো বিয়ার পর দিনই আইয়া হাজির, তো রসুনটা একটু চেঞ্জ হয়েছে আর কি।
তোমার বিছানা লাগা।
খারাপ না হয় এটা মনে রেখা মন দিয়ে রান্না করবো।
আমার লগে মস্কারি চলতেছে এখানে।
একদম চুপ, একটা টাকা দিয়ে বৌমা কি কইতেছো?
কুচি কুচি করে না কাইতে ফেলাইছি আব্বা। আমার তো মনে করে যখন ডর দেখাইতে দেখাইতে আমি দেখেন আপনি কি করি। ঘরে আইলাম না, এখন দেন না আসমানে ঠাড়াল্লাহান একেবারে কাঁপায়া দিমু।
আচ্ছা আপনার
তুমি রাগ করো না,
রাগ তো তুমি করবা, খাড়া খাড়া চায়া দেও।
আমি তো ভাবছি ডাকাত পড়ছে নি।
এই শাহজাহানগর বাড়িতে ডাকাত আইবো এমন কোন মায়ালাল পয়দা হইছে নি? দাদায় পড়ছে, তার দাদায় পড়ছে, এবার আমার পালা, আমি পড়ছি।
আরে রাখো তোমার খানদানি রেওয়াজ।
যা করছি ভালো করছি, তোমরা তোমাকে রীতি রেওয়াজ করছো, ভালো করছো, আমি পারুম না। তুমি আমার স্ত্রী, আমি তোমার স্বামী, তুমি আমার পার্টি পাইতে দিবা।
আমাকে খানদানে মাইয়ারা স্বামীর পার্টি পেনা।
ইউজ করেন দেখি, রুচি আছে আপনার।
আরে রুচি থাকবো না, আমরা খানদান। খবরদার একদম উল্টা পাল্টা কথা কইবা না, কইয়া দিচ্ছি।
আমি কইলাম তোমার মাথা একের বাড়ি মাইরা ফাড়ায় ফেলামু।
তোমার এই অবস্থা কেলা?
আসলে আব্বা, ও আব্বা, আব্বা
আচ্ছা, যা হবার হয়েছে বুঝছো।
সারাদিন যে ধকলটা গেছে গা। মন্টু, হ্যাঁ মন্টু, হ্যাঁ মন্টু, আমি তো অনাথ হয়ে গেছি গে একেবারে, মনে করে আমার বাপে আমারে। এটা কেমন বাট পারি? হ্যাঁ, তোমার আব্বা না খুব কান্দানি, আমারে কইছিল কাশি খাওয়া।
সকাল সকাল তুমি আয়া পড়ছো, চিল্লা কেমতে?
কি হয়েছে হ্যাঁ? আরো থেকে অনেক পর দেখে দেখতেছি ফোনের পিছে লাইগা রইছো।
বাজান তোরা আর একটা বুদ্ধি দিতেছি।
কি হয়েছে বাবার? কি
আগে সব কথা হই না লই, তারপর তুই খালাসে যাবি। কব মা
গেটে দুটো বাইর করে দিচ্ছিলাম।
ল তোর গাড়টি বুঝকা ল। সারা জিন্দেগি আমগো খানদানের সত্ত্বে